Hook, you ever have one of those moments where someone treats you like you don't belong? Like you're trespassing on your own land, your own dream, your own hard work. That's exactly what happened to me. One minute, I was unloading groceries at my cabin. The next, I had an angry HOA Karen in my face, yelling that I had no right to be there. Within 10 minutes, she had the cops rolling up the gravel road. What she didn't know, the detail that would change everything, was that not only did I own the cabin, I owned every acre of the valley her HOA sat on. This is the story of how I went from being treated like a stranger in my own home to reclaiming my voice, my land, and my peace, and how one entitled person's actions expose something much bigger about community, respect, and finding where you truly belong. When I first bought the valley, it wasn't about power or bragging rights. It was about healing. My father used to bring me out here when I was a kid. We'd fish in the river, camp under the stars, and chop firewood in the crisp mountain air. When he passed away, I promised myself I'd return one day, not just to visit, but to build a piece of him into something lasting. So after years of saving, I bought the valley, a quiet stretch of forest, river, and meadows. Nestled within it, on a patch that faced the sunrise, was my cabin. It wasn't fancy cedar walls, a porch swing, smoke curling from the stone chimney. But it was mine. Every nail, every plank, every memory. On the day this story begins, I'd driven up with a week's worth of supplies. I planned to split my time between fixing the dock and catching up on some much-needed solitude. That's when she appeared. Her SUV crunched up the gravel road, spotless and gleaming against the mud. Out stepped a woman in designer sunglasses, clipboard in hand, posture stiff as if she were ready to give the world a citation. "Excuse me," she barked, marching straight across my driveway like she owned it. "This area is private. You can't be here." I blinked, half amused, half confused. "This is my cabin," I told her. "Impossible," she snapped, flipping through her clipboard. "This property falls under the jurisdiction of the Silver Pines Homeowners Association, and I happen to be the president." "You're trespassing." Before I could respond, she was on her phone. "Yes, I need officers dispatched immediately. There's an intruder squatting in one of our cabins." The disbelief hit me harder than her words. I hadn't faced something like this since losing my father. Being dismissed, unseen, treated like I didn't matter. By the time the sheriff's truck pulled up, my hands were shaking. Not out of fear, but out of anger I hadn't felt in years. The officer stepped out, calm and respectful. "Sir, we got a call. Do you have proof of ownership?" I reached into my truck, pulled out the deed, not just for the cabin, but for the entire valley. The officer's eyes widened. Karen's jaw dropped. "I don't just own this cabin," I said quietly, holding her gaze. "I own everything you're standing on." For a long moment, the only sound was the wind through the pines. Karen didn't back down right away. Entitlement rarely does. "This is ridiculous," she huffed, her voice cracking. "There's an HOA here. We make the rules. You can't just, she faltered, words collapsing under the weight of reality. The officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, he's the legal owner. That means the HOA exists only because he allows it." It was like a switch flipped in her. Suddenly, all the bluster drained, leaving a trembling kind of fear in its place. But what caught me off guard wasn't her fear. It was what came next. Because beneath her arrogance, I saw something else: desperation. Over the next few days, I learned her story. She wasn't just Karen, the HOA tyrant. She was a single mother, recently divorced, who had clawed her way into a leadership role in the HOA, because it gave her control. Something she felt slipping everywhere else in her life. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it explained it. And somewhere between her brittle defenses and my anger, I saw a choice. I could crush her with the power I had. Or I could show her the same mercy my father always showed me when I messed up. So I chose mercy. I called a meeting with the HOA board. On my porch, this time. I told them the truth, the valley was mine, but I wasn't here to kick families out or destroy their community. I wanted to preserve the peace of the land, to let people live here without fear of overreach or petty rules. But I also laid down boundaries. No one was going to treat me, or anyone else, like they didn't belong. Something shifted that day. Karen didn't apologize right away, but over time, she softened. The rules grew more reasonable, the community started to thrive, and even she began to trade her clipboard for gardening gloves, volunteering with neighbors instead of policing them. And me, I realized something too. Owning land doesn't make you powerful. What you do with that land, how you protect it, how you share it, that's what makes you rich. When I sit on my porch now, listening to the river, I think about my father. He'd probably laugh at the whole HOA Karen calls the cops episode. But I know he'd be proud of how it ended. Not with bitterness, but with growth. Because sometimes, the battles we fight aren't about land or titles. They're about learning to stand tall in who we are. And about seeing that even the people who hurt us are carrying their own invisible battles. And that, I think, is the true lesson of the valley.